Today we're gonna discuss one of the most latent topics in the neuroscience and in the nervous system, which is the prefrontal cortex. We have already studied in our class the basic functions of the brain and the nervous system and how it works, especially in dealing with the external world, like the visual world, the auditory stimulus. We know the basics function of the cells, some subregions, some cortices, which were all consumed to be working in a little area in the little area in the nervous system. But today we'll discuss one of the most mysterious parts for the last decades on a research, and still in a research, to find out which exactly the function of it. So without going through in more details, we're gonna break the ice. What is the prefrontal cortex? Before we know the prefrontal cortex, we will start with talking about the introduction of it, the structure of it, its function, and how it adapts with the other functions of the brain, and some of the disorders that is commonly known. After this, you have to know something. Before we go through, we should have a very clear background about what is that could be. Our bodies, our human bodies engage in complex and extended behaviors, which is called far removed goals. As I said first, we studied already. Every school of neuroscience teaching in the first class what is the basic function of the brain. We have about three basic function. It is very common, which is first the homeostasis, and second the voluntary movement, and third is the abstract functions. The last one is the most mysterious one. Why? Because it is not conducted in or consumed in one only one mechanism. There are a lot of them, a collection of mechanisms. This is called the cognitive. It is when you think about something, and then you engage this thinking with a plan, with some improper behaviors, and some intentions and regulation and all of this. The most two habitual reactions happening inside the brain to make the cognitive is regulation and improvement of behaviors. It's actually how we learn something and how we adapt to work with this. The prefrontal cortex acting with three systems: the lower level sensory, memory, and motor operations. Memory, not only memory, but in the limbic system, but we said simply memory. Okay, so it's not by this easy. It's not very easy to say that it just make us think and improve ourselves and have some abstract functions. No, it's not working by this. It's not working like that. We have first, we have something called the rewarding system. It's not like the reward system of the long-term potentiation we have studied, like how we guarantee something, or how we can give gift of something, or for someone, or something like this. No, it's by expecting from the experience how idea I want a speech. Those teenagers have already heard many speeches about motivation from many people. So I already know that those people experience many things. So I need to make this more creative, more intellectual. So this is how I expect it from the experience. I know, I have already know something, and I want to improve the outcome. I want to make something new. I want to make something better. Okay, this is how I expect from experience. and then I make something, I make a plan, and I will think how will this plan will be acted in the future. So prefrontal cortex is very movable. It is about the past, present, and the future. And yes, the neurocircuitry or the cycle of the neurons also meant in a sentence called extracting the goal relevant features of our experiences for use in future circumstances. We have a knowledge hub in our brain, and we have an intention to do something, and we plan to do something, and then we expect how we will act and how the outcome will be. So what is actually the prefrontal cortex? We talked a lot about many examples, and now most of you have confused what is the prefrontal cortex and what is its basic function. Okay, the goal directed actions is the appropriate function of the PFC, which is the prefrontal cortex. Something called internal states and other thing is called task contingencies. The internal states is when it is the drama that happen inside of the brain, the actions that are likely to achieve a goal, the initiation of neural assemblies of a task. Your neural neurons in the prefrontal cortex will talk with their neurons inside the limbic system, and so they will initiate emotions to the motor system in the motor cortex and to some other sensory neurons, and so a lot of things and stuff that can make your emotions and your actions and your internal brain. Okay, and the task contingencies, how would you come with an outcome? What is the action that will take at the end? And these two forms have known in a single sentence called learn associative relationships. It is the relationships that inside the brain, this very is very amazing thing, which is bonding the motor system, the sensory system, and the emotional system to initiate something that could be a foremost goal. Like, let's say I want to cross a street, and there are some of the cars and some stuff, and then I want to think, I want to experience something, I want to take from my own knowledge from something I have read, and all those stuff. That's what make us unique as humans. Okay, then information you must know: prefrontal neurons is a conjunctive tuning for learn associative between cues, voluntary actions, and rewards. The cues and the voluntary actions and rewards are always something like mentions or actions, or let's say the rule or the stimulus and its outcome, also called complex behavior guiding rules. They are known outside the brain. Our brain has developed by adaptation to make the neurons understand what it is like. So they start with actually interacting with some other sensory neurons and ending with the motor system, as we have rooms. Q A always lead to behavior B. This is what the Q actually meant to be, which always lead to outcome C. So if we have a Q المؤشر A always lead to behavior الحدث أو الفعل B, which always lead to C. All those stuff are thinking, overthinking, and thinking and initiation, planning, decision making in the prefrontal cortex. And then we will go to some of the experience that helped us to understand exactly how scientists known this, and how that could make a function or a model function for the prefrontal cortex with Ahmed AbdulHafez. How are you, Ahmed?
Hi guys. Hi guys. There is an there's some experiments that had been made about this concept, which is the prefrontal cortex. The first experiment by the scientist Watanabe. examined the cues and reward signals where activity in the lateral prefrontal cortex and ventromedial prefrontal cortex conveys the identifier and size of expected rewards, whether the rewards is delivered or not, especially the lateral prefrontal cortex. This is the primary understanding of the learned association in the prefrontal cortex. After this experiment, scientists founded the other functions of the other regions of the prefrontal cortex to the cue and reward system or atomic habit to complete the understanding of the prefrontal cortex. Scientists say that not only external rewards from the environment influence our habits, but also internal rewards like beliefs, moods, emotions, and feelings, which makes the prefrontal cortex more complicated than it seems to be. After that, there is a scientist called Faster confirmed this information by discovering that prefrontal cortex neurons can reflect the learned association between visual and auditory stimuli. There are stimuli by the from the ears, from the eyes. They are Beckett and Chow wanted to examine this ability in monkeys by their frontal eye regions that are related to gaze, making them search for a different target every day, and they found that their monkeys' prefrontal cortex neurons distract stimuli that had been a target in the previous day, and humans are, and monkeys can extract general principles of rules. And actually, what is pretty is half of prefrontal cortex neurons are guided in their behavior by spatial rules. Now, with the prefrontal cortex anatomy, the importance of the explanation above is to satisfy how the prefrontal cortex rule looks and is denser than all brain regions in neuroplasticity. We tell now can confidently assign specific rules to prefrontal cortex structure, and these latest studies were explained just to show some of the recent studies that discover and invest in subcortical regions in prefrontal cortex. It's divided into medial prefrontal cortex, lateral prefrontal cortex, and orbitofrontal prefrontal cortex. Picture is for the lateral view, and the second one is for the medial view. And now with functions and structures with our friend Abdulrahman Ashour.
Okay, great to back again. We have functional structures. A classification of a region is according mainly on interconnected circuits. What does this mean? We have dorsal lateral, as we said in the first beginning, and the ventromedial, the lateral and the medial, and each one of them have dorsal side, as we said in the last slides. We said about the dorsal and the lateral and the ventral, okay, and the same in the other sides. We have also ventrolateral and dorsomedial, but those stuff, dorsolateral and ventromedial, are very connected with each other, making with each other, making the orbitofrontal PFC. And this is actually an example that shows you that it is not, doesn't mean that the lateral sides are all equal and the medial side are all equal. You can see a medial side and lateral side making with each other one rule, and yes, it can show you how the connectivity is translated between both of them. In addition, for the rule of PFC, subregion. There's something called top-down influence by providing an excitatory signal. What does this mean? Okay, we have when the neurons convey a message and took another message or an information and send it to the brain. What the brain and the prefrontal cortex exactly what does it do? It actually not only consuming the information and try to analyze it, but it take it one with waves. It take it by waves. The information is being analyzed, very strictly analyzed, to just know the information can deal with it. Let's say, for example, when you see something like a photo or let's say a picture that is drawn by Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali is a painter, so the painting of him have so many details. So when you look at by your frontal eyes, when you see this picture, you can get more information whenever you think about the picture and when you look at it more than one time, which is this is the influence. You actually shrink the neuron information and try to absorb it. And another process is called the biases processing. What is biases processing? It is the process that can help us to activate some certain regions by the PFC neurons to identify the goal-directed actions, or to help us for our main goal that we talked about in the first segment, which is the goal-directed actions. Let's say something is about all manners. So when you use the limbic system, something that is all about your ideas, so that you use the lateral sides of the prefrontal cortex, which is about decision making, and this helps us to other with that is bonded also with other regions according to experience and knowledge. So the prefrontal cortex makes something called biases. Is leaned to some certain actions to be activate, and some are not. That's actually can figure for you a picture for you how people can react in different moods, how people can react in different situations with different people. Okay, then we will go through the medial PFC, medial prefrontal cortex. The medial prefrontal cortex exactly plays an important regulatory role in numerous cognitive functions like attention, inhibitory control, habit formation, working, spatial, long-term memory. So I think it can help you also make something called localization. When you see this function, you will think about the place where the medial prefrontal cortex exists, so that it can make all of those stuff. So let's back again for the picture we have. Look at the medial. If you see, you will see the medial is very, very, very near the ventral medial, especially very near for the hippocampus and the amygdala, where the emotions, where the new memories. So that I can identify, that can help you figure out how it works and how it can make the reward and craving and cues. Also, the ventromedial is connected to amygdala and hippocampus, as I said in the first segment. So the limbic system is always also connected to orbitofrontal. And so, yes, I talked about this. And decision making and choosing, emotional, rational thinking, mixing rational thinking. Rational thinking, guys, it is where you think about something. Let's say you have a deal in bank, whether to invest your money in a company or you can make a project with this. You think economically and you think about the outcomes and you think about the money. All this called rational thinking. You actually calculating, and also rational thinking help in math. So this is the section where you actually calculate and think and measure and all this stuff. It is in the ventromedial PFC especially, and dorsomedial is for creating of emotion and understanding it. Let's say something is always laugh and making jokes by making himself angry at you and mad at you, and you will not believe him because you know he is joking. So this is how you understand his emotions. That he is joking. He's not as trolling, not a real drama. The lateral PFC actually is for regulation of responses from environmental stimuli. The flexibly solving problems. Let's say two people are argument and they are having something like a mess with each other and they are going to fight. Then you have to distinguish between of them. So this action actually is deserved to be done by lateral PFC because it's actually about the rational thinking, especially when it comes to the planning and abstracting and an abstract rule of representation. The more you go in front of the prefrontal cortex here, the more abstract functions becomes. This is the rule, guys. Okay. Okay, the more expanded location of the human brain rather than other animals that have PFC in the mid-dorsal lateral PFC. What does it mean? Let's say the dolphin. The dolphin have the second prefrontal cortex in the ecosystem. That means that he is the second second smartest creature on Earth after the human. That's the reason of it. A prefrontal cortex size and especially the mid dorsolateral PFC. Many lateral prefrontal cortex neurons show multimodal responses. Furthermore, the lateral PFC is critical for normal learning and association rewards and all those stuff. Then we'll come to a disorder with Ahmed AbdulHafez. He will sum it up because of our time. Yes, go ahead.
Hello guys again. Schizophrenia is a collection of related characteristic disorders of unknown etiology that follow a specific pattern of behavior. Typical behaviors seen in schizophrenia include psychotic ethods, episodes. That means that he can't differentiate between the realistic life and dreams. Our severe mental disturbances and perceptions of reality are distorted. May also involve hallucinations. Schizophrenia involves a specific type of disorder thinking and behavior. This could be described as the splitting of the mind's cognitive functions, dating to thought, perception, and reasoning from the appropriate emotional responses. Mostly the reason is due to disturbance in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is about decision making, choosing, and rational reasoning. Other causes may be during traumas, by the way. Some abnormalities include atrophy or degeneration in some brain areas and enlargement of fluid filled cavities called ventricles. There are symptoms and treatment. There are three different types of symptoms. The first one is the positive symptoms. Symptoms may have disturbing or frightening hallucinations. The most common hallucinations are auditory, but may also be visual. Other positive symptoms include sensitivity and fearful reactions to ordinary sights, sounds, or smells. The second type is a negative symptom. Yeah, have a reduction in their ability to experience appropriate emotions or express their emotions. The third one and the last one is disorganized symptoms. May have confused thinking and speech. Really, there is no treatment. I'm from but antipsychotic drugs work mainly to antagonize, inhibit dopamine, the serotonin receptors any specific areas of the brain, any specific areas of the brain that are in dysfunction.
Thank you very much, Ahmed AbdulHafez, Abdulrahman Ashour.